Okay, so I just write the date today. Okay, so today we are going to go through quadratic element. Okay, so already we have gone through first order element to derive the what is going to be stresses and what is going to be then the stiffness matrix. So same procedure we are going to adopt. Okay, now just draw the some fundamental figure related to shape function. So most importantly that we need to find out the what is the shape function of this. So as we know xi starts from -1 and xi ends with 1. Since it is a quadratic, one more node is going to require. So let's take that node at central location which stands for xi equal to 0. Now according to Lagrange's interpolation polynomial, so if I want to find out n1, so I'm trying to draw the figure of n1 which is going to help me to get the shape function in just a quick time. Okay, this is one of the simplest methods, simplest technique. So just try to refer, you will see a lot of complication process to get the n1 and n2. Okay, and I'm going to explain you most simplest process. So that is through Lagrange interpolation and by drawing the figure. So we are aware of n1 is 1. Okay, n1 is 1 at its own location. So I can call this as a n1 is 1 at node 1. So this is node 1, this is node 2, and node 3 is at the center. Okay, so I can call that n1 at node 1 is always 1, and we are aware of n1 at other location. Okay, so just let me know what is the value of n1 at other location. Could you recall? Just let me know. So what is going to be n1 at 3 and n1 at 2? So just reply. If you are not able to tell me, you can reply. There is nothing wrong in it saying that I don't know. Okay, anybody else? So I just got a 2 reply. So I'll get an idea whether you know or not. You can clearly say I don't know. Yes, Arohi has answered correctly. So N1 is 0 at all other nodes. So I just suggest to watch my earlier lecture because I already told you that is going to be crux of ATM. So such lecture I have conducted. Okay, if you know that lecture, your FEM is done. That is also I clearly said in that lecture. So I suggest you go back and watch that crux lecture. Okay, where I have taken the Lagrange's interpolation and how to derive the shape function. I have already taken how to derive the quadratic element shape function using that concept. We are again going to derive. So N1 is always 1 at its own location, and why it is 1, that is also we have derived. Okay, and it will be 0 at other location. So therefore, so I just plotted N1 1 at this location. Now it will be 0. That means it will be at this, and at N2 it will be 0. So if I want to draw a curve through these 3 points, okay, so my curve is going to be like this. Okay, so through 3 points, if I want to draw a curve, my N1 is going to be like this. So what is this? This represents how N1 is going to vary. Okay, and I don't know what is its value, and that is what I need to find out. Okay, so how do I do it? So if you remember, N1 is nothing but equal to L1. So it is a Lagrange's polynomial. L1 is equal to N1. So what I am supposed to do? I am supposed to use the equation of other points. Okay, I am supposed to use the equation of other points, or the point where the N1 is 0. So such points are node 3 and node 2. At these two locations, the value of N1 is 0, and therefore I should use equation of node 2 and node 3 to get the N1. Okay, so I just put a constant in front of it, and equation of node 2 is xi minus 1 . It is xi minus 1, and equation of node 3 is xi. Okay, now I am also aware of N1 is always equal to 1 at xi equal to minus 1 because that is the location. So let's put this value. N1 is equal to 1 C into minus 1 minus 1, and value of xi is minus 1. So from this I get C equal to 1 by 2. Okay, and therefore I could write now N1 is equal to 1 by 2 xi minus 1 xi. Okay, so just let me know whether you understood this or not. Okay, fine. So now I need to just scroll down. Okay, so this is node 1, node 3 and node 2. So now I am talking about N2. So N2 is always 1 at two locations. So this is xi equal to 1, xi equal to 0, and xi equal to minus 1. And 0 all other location. This is the location of N2, and therefore the curve through the 3 point will come as like this, and this is my N2. Okay, just a moment. So this is my now N2. So you could see from both the figure the n1 and n2 behaving quadratically. Okay, they are not linear. In first order element we have drawn the linear line because it was having a 2 points. Now it is having a 3 points. Okay, so from this I could write equation of n2 as c into, okay, the equation of the nodes where n2 is 0. Okay, so at node 1 it is 0, so therefore xi plus 1, this is the equation of node 1, and equation of node 3 is xi. Okay, so this is what is the equation of n2. Now n2 will be equal to 1 at xi equal to 1. So this is one of the boundary conditions. Therefore I put n2 equal to 1, c xi plus 1, so xi is 1, so I just put 1 plus 1, and sorry, this is also 1. So from this I get c equal to 2, and therefore I can write n2 as, not c equal to 1 by 2, sorry, c equal to 1 by 2. From this I could write 1 by 2 xi plus 1 and xi. This is how we are going to get a value of n2. Okay. Now for n3, see, curves are very important. Okay. So if you know curves, so you know many more things, because in mechanical engineering either you will be solving the differential equation, integral equation, or partial differential equation. By solving it, you get y equal to f of x. Y equal to f of x represents the curve. And if you are aware of all the curve techniques, you always get a relationship between input and output, or maybe multiple inputs and single output, or maybe multiple inputs and multiple output. Okay, so those could be represented in terms of surfaces. And that is why having a knowledge of curve is very, very important. So this is node 1, node 2, this is node 3, this is xi equal to minus 1, xi equal to 0, xi equal to 1. So at node 1, sorry, at node 3, n3 is 1, and at rest it is 0. So therefore my curve is going to be like this. Okay, so this is my n3. So now from this I could write n3 equal to c into equation of those points where n3 is 0. So where n3 is 0 at node 1. So it is xi plus 1 into equation of node 2, that is xi minus 1. So this is what is the equation. Now I am aware of n3 is equal to 1 at xi equal to 0. So let's put it n3 equal to 1, c into 1 into 1. Okay, so from this I get c equal to 1. Okay, and therefore I could write n3 as xi plus 1, no, this is minus 1, sorry, yeah. So c equal to minus 1 I will get. So I could write minus of, just erase this. So I could write minus of xi plus 1 into xi minus 1. This is how I am going to get density. Okay, so just let me know whether you got the n1, n2, n3 or not quickly. You can just type y, or if you have any question you can type, ask the question. Okay. So once we have this, now I'm going to write isoparametric formulation. Isoparametric formulation. So this is also I have taken. Okay, what it suggests? The equation of displacement and the equation of coordinate will be same. Okay, they will be of same order. That is what we called as isoparametric formulation. There is a superparametric and subparametric also. Okay, so superparametric we are going to go to in upcoming chapters. Okay, so here in this case, x, that is coordinate. Okay, so I am writing in form of global coordinate system. So this is in xi coordinate. Okay, so I'm going to write in x coordinate and then we are going to map it. So x is the coordinates. X is equal to n1 x1 Lagrange's polynomial L1 y1 plus L2 y2. You have to remember that. Okay, so do watch that lecture. Okay, so it's very important. If you know that, your exam is over. That is what I'm already saying you. N2 x2 plus N3 x3. Okay, similarly for Q I am going to write, that is displacement, same formulation, N1 q1 plus N2 q2 plus N3 q3. Okay, so they are of same order of polynomial, that is quadratic. Okay, 3 points are there, so therefore they are quadratic polynomial, and I could say this is isoparametric formulation. What is the superparametric? So if x is having lesser order than the q, okay, q will be having a higher order. In that case, it becomes super parametric. But if x is having a higher order and q is having a lower order, then it becomes a subparametric. So superparametric, one of the example, you could take a simply fixed support of beam. Okay, and you have the displacement diagram like this. So here in this case, q is behaving second order polynomial, and whereas x will be varying as first order polynomial. So this is x not q. Okay, first order polynomial. In such case, this will be a superparametric. So whenever we go through beam problem, so recently we have derived the order shape function of a cubic element. Okay, so this is not a second order, this is third order element. Okay, third order. So recently we have derived the shape function of this. So in upcoming lecture we are going to utilize this superparametric formulation also. Okay, so presently we will think about this only. So that was a cubic Hermite spline. So what is strain? Strain is dq by dx, where x is a coordinate. We are working in global coordinate. Okay. So but I prefer to work in local, where it is in xi form. So therefore this I could write dq by d xi. Okay, and I could write d xi by dx. Okay, this is what I am going to get. So I have the both relationship for x and for q, and my job is to find out these two variables value. Okay, so let's do it. So first thing is d psi by dx, that is what I want to find out. So I just write x equal to n1. So I just go back and check the value of n1, that is 1 by 2 xi minus 1 xi. So 1 by 2 xi minus 1 xi, this is my n1 into x1 plus n2 will be 1 by 2 xi plus 1 into xi. Okay, and for n3 it will be, I could say xi plus 1 minus xi into my x3. Okay, not x. Yeah, x1. Here I forgot to write x2. Clear? Now I want to differentiate this. Okay, so I want to find out dx by dxi. Okay, so just do it and let me know. You can start doing it. So I just delete this. One square minus square minus 2 side. Okay, x3. Xi x1 minus 1 by 2 x1 plus xi x2 plus 1 by 2 x2 minus 2 times xi x3. Xi x1, xi x2, and this is xi. So I take out xi common, x1 plus x2 minus 2 times x3 and then I have plus 1 by 2 x2 minus x1. Fine. So now try to evaluate this. Okay, so we have made a mistake. So I just erase this everything. So it is not a isoparametric formulation. Okay. So earlier, so it will be a linear formulation for coordinate. Okay. For coordinate, it will be a linear formulation. And if you just refer previous solution, you will find the d psi by dx is 2 by le. Okay. So earlier we have derived that is d psi by dx is 2 by le. So this is earlier we have derived. Okay. So I just get into a Green formulation. Okay. So rather than that, what we are going to have for it will be having a linear formulation for coordinate system, and this is already we have derived it for linear formulation that d psi by dx is 2 by L. Okay, so this is what already I have got. Okay, now I just go with Q formulation. Q I can write as N1, N2, N3 in terms of matrix as Q1, Q2, Q3. Okay, so this matrix I call as a small q and this matrix I called as nq. So I could write it is n into q matrix. Okay, so d psi by dx is 2 by le. So you just keep in mind that this already we have derived in first order equation. So that we have to use directly here in this case. Okay, so now we want dq by d psi. Okay, so dq by d psi will be equal to dn1 by d psi dn2 by d psi and finally dn3 by d psi. Okay, and into my q matrix, which is q1, q2, q3. So this is what is going to be there. So dn1 by d psi, you can write that. So leave this, later on I will erase. So I will require dn1 by d psi. So you can differentiate this. So I'm going to get 2 psi minus 1 divided by 2. Okay, plus n2 I get 2 psi plus 1 divided by 2, and then I will get 2 psi. So I am writing plus, I don't want to write plus. Okay, so this is what I am going to get after differentiating. Okay, and that will be into my q matrix, that is q1, q2. Okay, so just verify this whether it is correct or not. So this is minus psi here in this case, so it will be minus 2. Okay, so just verify whether whatever I am getting is correct or not. If it is correct, just type something, it is correct, so I can go ahead. Okay, so I'll erase this now because this is what I am not going to require. So that was incorrect thing. Okay, so dz by dx we are going to take directly 2 by L, that already we have derived. So therefore my strain is equal to dq by dx will be equal to 2 by Le, okay, into 2 xi minus 1 by 2, and I will be having 2 xi plus 1 by 2 and minus 2 xi, and that will be into my Q matrix, that is Q1, Q2, Q3. Okay. Now this symbolically represents B into Q matrix, if you remember. Okay. And therefore my B matrix will be equal to 2 by Le, 2 zeta, 2 xi minus 1 by 2, 2 xi plus 1 by 2, minus 2 xi. This is my B. Okay. So this is symbolically represent B. And what is my sigma? Sigma is E, B and Q. Okay. So my sigma will be equal to, okay, so this is what you can write down. Okay, so E into 2 by Le, that is my B, 2 xi minus 1 by 2, 2 xi plus 1 by 2 minus 2 xi, and of course into Q1, Q2 and Q3. This is how I am going to get the sigma. Okay. Now one of the most important thing in first order, we used to get, this is E, B was 1 by Le, and that was minus 1 1, and I was having Q1, Q2. Okay, for sigma for first order. So what you see here in this case, the xi term is absent, and here in this case the xi term is present. Okay, so what conclusion from this you can make it? Just let me know. In one case xi is absent and in other case xi is present. So what conclusion or what meaning you could evaluate? Okay, so I just draw the element. So this is first order element. Okay, so weird figure, just understand first order element. This is, let us say, second order element. So I am having in first order element node 1 here, node 2 here. In second order, node 1, node 2, and at the center location node 3. Okay, so just by looking after these two figures, okay, we used to find sigma. So in case of first order element, the sigma does not depend on xi. Okay, sigma does not depends on xi, or I could say coordinate. That means sigma is at this location same, 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 at this. So in throughout this element, my sigma is constant. Okay, and therefore, if you have used any kind of analysis software, you might be interested in elemental stress or elemental solution, or maybe nodal stress. Out of this, what to be find out? That is what is one of the important. Okay, we do the analysis, but we don't know what we are trying to find out. So in first order element, since the stress is not going to vary within the element, and therefore we go with the elemental stresses. Of course, there is a way to find out nodal stresses at a location, but that will be same. You can use some Gauss quadrature integration method to evaluate the nodal stresses, but that will be, of course, same, and it is the incorrect way. So what we are interested in elemental stresses, because in an element the stress is going to be constant in first order element. It is not going to depend on the xi. But in case of the second order element, so if I put xi equal to 0, that belongs to node 1, the stress value will be different. If I put xi equal to 0 at node 3, so the stress value will be different. If I put xi equal to 1 at node 2, again the stress value will be different. So at 3 different locations, I am going to get different sigma, sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3. That is what is the meaning, that sigma depends on the location now. So sigma is not constant throughout the element. Okay, sigma varies from one location to the other location. So location matters, and that is why in such cases we are going to find out nodal stresses. So whenever we do the mesh and we do the analysis, we should be aware of that when to find nodal stress and when to find the elemental stress. So this is one of the conclusion what I am trying to provide you, that just don't use the software using a dumb mind. You find out what kind of stresses I am going to require to find out the solution. Whether nodal solution is the correct way to go, or whether the elemental stress is the correct way to go. So I hope you understood this. Just let me know. You can type just Y quickly. Okay. Now, internal energy is equal to integration over the element sigma transpose epsilon dV. So this E is not here, so this E is present here. So over the element I am trying to integrate. So this is already we have derived. Internal energy equal to integration over the element sigma transpose E dV. If you do not remember, just watch my previous lecture. So for a one-dimensional element, area is going to be constant. Area is not going to change from node 1 to node 2. Okay, so that is going to remain the constant. From node 1 to node 2, the area will remain constant, and therefore I could say it is going to vary along the length only. So x1 to x2, sigma transpose epsilon, that is stress, and dV I can write as A dx, because variation will be in only this format. Okay. So now recently we have seen d xi by dx is 2 by Le. So therefore dx will be Le by 2 into d xi. Okay. So I'm going to write this as now -1 to 1 sigma transpose epsilon A LE by 2 d xi. This is what is going to be my limit is going to change. I can now utilize Gauss quadrature integration formulas to get the solution in quick time. Okay, so again I write integration -1 to 1 sigma transpose is EBQ. So I get B transpose EBQ. So first I will get Q transpose EB and E here, and epsilon is B into Q. Okay, so I get B into Q. This is what I am going to get, and then A LE by 2 d xi. So this is my strain and this is my stress. Okay, so now I take out Q transpose common. A into LE by 2 is also constant. So A into LE by 2, I just take out constant. E is constant. So I just take out E also constant out of this. Integration of -1 to 1. Okay. So it becomes B transpose into B into d xi. And what I do, I also take out Q constant on this side. So I'm not changing the location because they are matrix, and for multiplication order needs to be correct. And this is equivalent to half KQ square. This is what internal energy already derived. Okay. So from this, I could say my K will be equal to AE LE integration of -1 to 1 B transpose B d xi. Okay, so just let me know whether you got up to this or not. Yeah, I just miss out 1 by 2 here. So this is into 1 by 2 half. Everywhere half will be there. So 1 by 2. So here also I'll be having 1 by 2. So therefore 2 will come here. Okay, so just let me know whether you understood this or not. Or if you have a question, you can ask. You could say also no. I will repeat again. Okay, fine. So 1 by 2 was there, so I just missed out. So therefore it is going to come AE by LE by 2. Now AE LE by 2, this is common, -1 to 1. Now what is B? B is 2 by LE into this. Okay. So again I write 2 by LE, that is 2 xi minus 1, and then I have 2 xi plus 1 minus 2 xi. Okay, correct. So this is what I got it. And of course it is a transpose. Okay, so it is a transpose into same thing. So 2 by LE, 2 xi minus 1, 2 xi plus 1 minus 2 xi and into d xi. So I get AE LE 2 times integration of minus 1 to 1, and LE will also get cancelled, and I have LE here in this case like this. Okay, so 2 times AE by LE. So I'll get 2 xi minus 1 square, then 2 xi minus 1 into 2 xi plus 1, 2 xi minus 1 into minus 2 xi, then 2 xi plus 1 into 2 xi minus 1, 2 xi plus 1 whole square, 2 xi plus 1 into minus 2 xi, then I will get minus 2 xi into 2 xi minus 1 minus 2 xi, 2 xi plus 1, then I'll be having 2 xi. Okay, so this is minus 2 xi, so I could write 2 xi square, no problem. This is my matrix now, and d xi. Now we have to do integration of each element. Okay, so try to evaluate this first. Multiply this and just let me know this value. Divided by 2. Okay. Okay, divided by 2 I just missed out. So 2, 2, 2. So divided by 4, divided by 4, divided by 2, divided by 4, divided by 4, divided by 2, divided by 2, divided by 2, and no division. Okay. So just calculate this. So I just cannot scroll, go and up and see. And so you have the registers, you can note down those values and you can see it. So just let me know the first value. That's it. So first value, when you integrate within minus 1 to 1, what you are going to get it. Only first value I'm interested. So only integrate this and let me know the value. One by six. Anybody else could verify? Because it is 4 xi square. Huh? 4 plus 1, 7 by 6 could be the option. Four, not really. So that is 4 xi square. 7 by 6 is the correct answer. Correct. So it is 7 by 6. So this is correct answer, 7 by 6. So you could evaluate each individual all these parameters, and then you could summarize whole the stuff. So what I'm going to do, we are not going to go through it. Okay. So you can have all the integration as a homework part, because that is a mechanical work. Okay. So AE by 3 LE, this is what I am going to directly write. So I get 7, 7, 16, minus 8, minus 8, minus 8, minus 8, and this will be 1, 1, 1, and this will be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So in this way, I'm going to have my global stiffness matrix. Okay. So on your own, you can try to find out the solution for this. Absolutely no problem. 7 by 6 is the first correct answer. If you take out now 6 common, that will become A by LE by 3. So in denominator everywhere 6 will be there. That is very clear. So this is 7 by 6. This will become 7 by 6. It is but obvious. You could see clearly here from, if this is 7 by 6, so this is also going to become 7 by 6. Hmm? So no, this is not 18, 16. I suppose, yes, 16, not 18. 16. Okay, so you just make a correction, that is 16. Okay, 2 times of this is going to come. So you can note down this value. So individually you can integrate each and every element that is a part of homework. Okay, because it's a mechanical work. So process you are very well aware of. Okay, and rest become a mechanical work. So just let me know whether you understood this or not. At least process. Then the mechanical work later on you can do it. Hello everyone. There are so many people. Okay, so basically what is going to happen, the same process we are going to repeat throughout FEM. So for first order what we have done, now for quadratic element what we have done, now for we are going to go through cubic element, then the various truss element, then we have the two-dimensional element. So all the same process what we are going to follow, and our task will be to finding the stiffness matrix, writing the equation KQ equal to F, and solving it and getting the value of Q. So that's what all about the FEM. So only thing is that how you are going to evaluate the shape function. How you are going to evaluate the shape function. So this is what is the crux. Okay, if you are able to do this, the process remains the same, and you could solve any of the elements. So we are going to focus on this topic only, that how to get the shape function, write the shape function, create the formulation. Okay, so dq by dx is this, find dq by dx, dy by dx, keep on going, get the epsilon or what you say strain. One strain is get the sigma, internal energy 1 by 2 into integration of sigma transpose epsilon dV. Area is going to remain constant throughout the element, so therefore ADX, and you keep on doing it, you will get the K. So this is how the process what we follow. Okay, so that's for today's lecture. So next time we are going to have one numerical on quadratic element. Okay, so you can start leaving.